everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our Fast Tracking Customized E-Commerce, which is a JDE case study of Treasury Wine Estates. I'm Katie, the Marketing Coordinator at KRISE Systems. Also joining me today on the KRISE side of things is Doug Pulaski, our Director of Sales.
Hi everyone.
And then Jeremy Stowe, who's our Project Implementation Manager.
Hello.
And I'm really excited that we have our guest of honor today, Marianne Galvin, who's the Global IT Director at Treasury Wine Estates for Products and Assets.
Happy to be with you.
So Marianne, do you just want to talk about yourself for just a couple seconds or about Treasury Wine Estates in general?
Sure. So my name is Marianne Galvin. I work at Treasury Wine Estates. What we're going to show a little bit later on in the presentation is how we implemented the KRISE solution for our customer set. Treasury is a wine maker and distributor. So we'll go into that a little bit later.
All right, thanks. So just so everyone knows, you guys can ask us questions at any time in the little question box on the right-hand side. And if we're able to answer it right then we'll try and do so. Otherwise, we'll definitely have a Q&A at the end. But for right now, I'm going to hand the reins over to Doug.
All right, and everyone, thank you for taking your valuable time this morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone, to attend this session. It is being recorded, so we will be sending to the folks that couldn't make it, and then as a follow-up email along with the slide deck that I have here. I want to focus this session with an actual deliverable. You talking to one of your peers, Marianne at Treasury Wine Estates, using JDE E1. But I do want to kind of set the stage in terms of the platform and the application. In other words, from the vendor perspective. So I'm going to very quickly, like I said, we'll be sending you the slides, so I don't want to stay on the slides too long. I'm just very quickly going to go through. KRISE is a company. We're in Aurora. We're a pure software company. Our primary practice area is providing JDE, E1, and World strategic add-on solutions. And so our number one practice area is e-commerce and payments. And by the way, we're accredited at the highest level with Oracle, Gold level, Quest 2, and our products are certified. And it's a very thorough vetting process that Oracle goes through for OVI certification. And so we're going to be focused on the commerce side, which could also include if the credit card and e-check requirements are part of your requirements, our credit card e-check engine, working against JDE sales order and invoice for collections like online bill pay and obviously sales order to pay, go beyond AR terms and pay with typically a credit card. We have other practice areas. The reason we have so many different products, and by the way, this slide here is just a representation of, and these are all JDE companies, just a quick representation of some of our customers. So every one of our customers, I'm proud to say, is referenceable. Unlike some software vendors that have a preferred list, we ask folks, hey, who do you want to talk to? Do you recognize anybody? So it's a pride that we take that it's actually our focus is to make sure that every one of our customers are referenceable, and we hopefully come, at or under the expectations in terms of the budget with the project. And I'm happy to say we usually come in a little bit under. And what's unique about KRISE as a software company is everything we do is built on a platform. And this is a major differentiation between us and other software companies out there that might consider themselves .NET or Java or C# or PHP type shops. We do have this platform, and it's an enterprise level application development and integration platform, and it's very, very powerful. It's here's just a quick representation from our sales literature. It's something that our customers can take development ownership of, whether it's partial. We have some companies that want 100% development ownership, like Education Realty Trust, Treasury, SF Marketing. They simply buy EasyCommerce and they've created all of their applications. Otherwise, the more traditional way is we have applications, extremely customizable, thus the nature of the title of this webinar. We have over 400 services, obviously J.D. Edwards' some of the services that we support, any ODBC database. We're mapped to all of the custom tables in JDE F55, 56. SAP, we've got our platform tied to all the SAP BAPIs, EBS, Salesforce.com, SharePoint. If somebody has SharePoint and they simply want to use the SharePoint as the UI, our DLLs can literally exist inside of SharePoint. So we have over 400 of these services we like adding on, and it's usually our customers coming to us and saying, hey, how about integrating? Recently, as an example, we had a customer and they said, hey, we want tight integration against beyond FedEx and UPS with Old Dominion Freightway. So it was REST APIs, and it was very, very easy for us to work so that the customer had bill of lading, what was called the PRO number, which is the equivalent of like the UPS tracking number. Very, very simple for us. Very strong integration component. Everything with J.D. Edwards is mapped at the business function. Z-file, as an example, we had a customer and they said, how do you create the order? And we said, by default, this is the 4210, your version. We don't do it through EDI. We don't do it through the Z-file, but we can do it through the Z-file. And for them, they had edits in the Z-file that they wanted to pick up, and it's simply a processing option. So all of the logic, it's visual modeling, it's the zero coding, all of the workflow logic, like a return request, an RMA, an RGA type process, the entire GUI, this is referred to as a web part. And once again, that's why we have so many products. And once again, I want to emphasize, if companies want to have development ownership, absolutely no problem. J.D. Edwards integration for e-commerce is really important. I kind of chuckle when I hear, oh, it's just creating the sales order, working against availability, advanced pricing. There's really a lot more than that. And as an example, order crate, but some companies want integration processes for order change. So, and maybe they want to give it to, and this is the customization part, all of their customers or a few of their customers or a few of their users, and you have to have a platform that can easily say, okay, do you want the order change to be up to, say, pick or ship status or a particular hold code? And we have all of that, the workflow process related to, it's usually a request. Maybe it's a request for change, or you allow them to do a straightforward exchange. The credit, though, is usually a workflow request. Quotes, some people want the ability to use the shopping cart, still work against their sales order activity logic, against the address book that's embedded in the profile. But you want, say, to create SQ order types, which are non-committed, easily convert them, say with budget approval. So there's a lot there. And for a 1 hour webinar, we're just going to touch on the surface. And this is even further detailed, that prior slide. When you're dealing with credit card and that, not only are you dealing with the credit card at the time of initial order crate, say with the sales order credit card, but also that's usually only the authorization. The settlement capture usually occurs with shipment or invoice, and then the batch AR update. And this is an example of everything we're working against with the batch AR update process for a credit card sales order. Here's a meaningful quote, and this is recent. I added this slide about an hour ago because I read it from Gartner. By 2018, more than 50% of e-commerce sites will integrate technologies from more than 15 vendors. And what that's talking about is exactly the approach that K-Rise has taken with our solution. Our solution is very modern. It's a service-oriented architecture. You can deploy it on-prem, in the cloud, in any hosting environment. We've got contracts with Rackspace, and we're working with Oracle, and Amazon AWS, and Microsoft Azure. It's all up to you. But then you get into the details of e-commerce, and you realize what Gartner is talking about. First off, the faceted search engine. I'll touch on that. But we said, hey, what's the best approach to creating the catalog, to creating search logic? That's the heart of an e-commerce solution, especially if you're dealing with hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of items. Tax, obviously with business functions, we natively work against Vertex and JD Edwards because that's how it works, but we also have APIs to a cloud tax solution called Avalara and Taxware, and these are the developments that are occurring in the e-commerce marketplace because tax is, a hot item. Companies have to really be careful because of the changing. Example, I'm now paying, I think I was one of the last states here in Illinois, paying on my sales tax on my Amazon orders. So it's constantly changing out there. Logistics, I talked about that. Maybe you've got a 3PL and you want to get to the bill of lading information or the pro number from there. Very, very easy for us. We don't try to reinvent the wheel with these e-commerce plugins like Live Chat, OLARC, Bold Chat, very simple, and REST APIs are the predominant mechanism, and this platform that we have, very robust. Even CRM, every one of our customers use it as, say, sales or inside sales, outside sales, so they have those profiles, and especially when you're talking about e-commerce from a Salesforce enablement, you get into CRM, and we could easily, and in fact I have a slide here showing Salesforce integration. I talked about SharePoint, social media, web design. Beretta is one of our customers. They work with American Eagle. These are very high-end web design. We feel that we can provide an adequate, but you know what? There's some companies out there that are really focused on high-end design. Usually for B2B, it's not that important, but that's another example. Payment gateways. We take an agnostic approach. So, whether it's PayPal, I misspelled authorize, CyberSource, Moneris, which is Bank of Montreal, ADM, BluePay, and the technology, even the technology. We wanted not to be tied, as an example, to ASP.NET. So everything we're doing from an HTML perspective is based on model view controller. So we're not subject to the limitations of, as an example, ASP.NET. It makes the front end extremely light. In the case of Marianne at Treasury Wine, they have U.S. people working against our software located at the Rackspace data center in Sydney, Australia. And then from there, we have a VPN connection to their JDE E1. Marianne, that's in or around Melbourne?
Correct.
Okay, so that's an example. You've got to have solid technology to make sure everything works fine. I'm not going to get into this real details. I'll pass it along, but it's kind of reiterates this very modern software architecture that we have. Here it is from a cloud perspective. Here it is from a tool set perspective. So like Christie's, and we have other examples too. They came to us and they said, we don't want to work with your ASPX web pages, which most people do. We want to host you. We want you to use EASYCommerce as a tool set within the context of, for Christie's, it's their online global bidding and auctioning software. They're a big E1 customer, very customized, but they have My Christie's. Not everybody goes to the showrooms at Rockefeller Center in London and Hong Kong and Sydney. And so it was an extremely successful project to provide the JDE integration. More importantly, provide invoice payment functionality globally. It's very sophisticated. When a user, as an example, changes the ship to in J.D. Edwards, it's creating obviously a new invoice. We got to pick it up immediately, split seconds. It's a very, very interesting project. Here's an example. Salesforce.com, we're business developers, and hey, showing from EASYCommerce, both address book and sales order history functionality inside of CRM. We could do this stuff in front of you. We also have a native app. I think it's really a hallmark of any software company. If they can extend their application easily to things like native app. And let me back up a second and explain that from a smartphone, we do use responsive and adaptive design. So from a smartphone browser perspective, example, iOS or Apple with the Safari browser, no problem. It'll form factor, whether it's the 7 or 6 Plus or the regular or the Android device. But this is a native app. We have a customer, you might have noticed it on the logos, San Remo Macaroni. So we take the application, embed it as an app, and for them, this is huge. For people, for companies that have field personnel, this is huge. And needless to say, I think everybody realizes here, the millennials generation, so to speak, they live on their smartphone. This is, I don't even bring it up, the smartphone angle as an option. At the very minimum, really, you're going to want responsive adaptive design and optionally this native app. So, extensive, and here's a couple of, I don't have time to go through it, but as you can see, the native app has all the functionality of creating the order. Our approach, native app, we do use REST APIs. We can show them to you, say, from the Google REST API extension. We've taken a direction to give you, with native app, the IP ownership. In other words, we don't base it on a framework, any type of mobile framework, whether it's Oracle, MAF, or anything else. So we give you the Android, the Java. If you want to go to a third party and add like mapping functionality, contact us, or you want us to do it. As far as publishing it, like you saw with San Remo, if you want us to work with Apple and Google Play on publishing it, absolutely no problem. People really like this direction, and once again, it alludes to the openness and the open standards that we promote. So companies, generally speaking, you have a couple of decisions when you're considering e-commerce. And I reference Gartner. And Gartner, in their Magic Quadrant, the top 3, with Oracle's acquisition of ATG and DECA, and then you have SAP and IBM, WebSphere, the Commerce Server edition of WebSphere. And a lot of people do that. And I've witnessed these types of implementations. It involves expensive consultants, and they're proprietary consultants tied to it not being open source. And the projects, let's just say, even if they gave you the software free, the services on these projects, Accenture, Deloitte, they love them because they're measured in the thousands of hours of services. And that's an option. And then a build-it approach, of course, is an option. That you've got the front end, the middleware, the back end expertise, but most people don't do that anymore. And this is what we're fitting into, this specialty, like with J.D. Edwards and SAP. So our hallmark is we do everything tied to the back end ERP, the high-end back end ERPs. We haven't done it with QuickBooks. We are considering, well, we have done it with Microsoft Exapto. We're considering some of the other dynamic solutions. But you can see if we take a best practice approach, contrary to, say, a whiteboard, here's the home page, like those pure platforms. It's a platform tied to best practices. We've got all of here's the 7 ways of ordering, here's a checkout, very personalizable. And once again, some of our exclusives. Now, I am going to talk very quickly, and I'm trying to zoom through these because I want to get to Marianne's portion. Our product catalog is based on Solar. It's open search. Sears uses it. Best Buy uses it. A faceted search engine, and that's what Solar is. And the other big one is Endeca. The Endeca portion of ATG, Oracle Commerce, very, very good. I promote it, believe it or not. If you've got the budget for a project like that, we can deliver, though, a Tier 1 similar look and feel like Grainger, like Best Buy. In fact, even IBM WebSphere, SAP Hybris, they have taken the same approach as us, and they use Solar for theirs. Netflix here, so a faceted search engine can do more than e-commerce. Netflix, when you're searching against their movies and that, it's the engine behind it. And that will make sense to you with this slide. A faceted search engine takes product information and indexes it, automatically makes it intelligent. So rather than creating, and people really underestimate how long this takes, this is, I call, the old 1990s hierarchical, where you manually, like in Windows Explorer, create a folder representing, say, a product category and the subcategories, and it's time consuming. And in faceted search indexing is like BI, or SLT, and creating a data mart, a data warehouse, doing the dynamic queries against it. We've taken it. We're the only company that's integrated against the JDE, ERP, SAP CAT codes. We can work against Excels. We can create personalized catalogs by, say, putting a customer master CAT code, and we do this. And this is a highlight of what Marianne's going to be talking about with her deliverable. But once again, you can always recognize a faceted search because it's dynamic. If you go into Best Buy and you type in TV, you can see a completely different set of facets or product attributes dealing with size of the TV, brand. Then if you type in wash machine, it's dynamic. Users can drill down any which way, and these are simply the features of it. Here's a customer site, Snyder Paper out in North Carolina, Easy Pay, and really at this point, I'm very quickly, before turning it over to Marianne, I'm going to very quickly go into, so this is our demo environment. We have it hooked up to JD Edwards. So this is, say, a home page, totally customizable. I'm logging in as Paul, and once again, this is mostly HTML and objects, and you can move everything around if you want it to be stark and more vanilla. You could do that. I'm going through the process of logging in as Paul Johnson. And Paul Johnson, the users have to, with ERP integration, be cross-referenced against an address book, and you can see it's 4242, their default warehouse. Here's their home page right here. So at this point on the home page of Paul Johnson, very quickly said, I placed a sales order or a PO, and from their perspective, sales order from your perspective with this company, what's the status. We're real-time working against JD Edwards, and we're showing that 2 have been shipped, so it's a split line condition. This is in picking status, real-time working off of the status codes in JD Edwards. There's the UPS tracking number, so you have the tracking right there. You might have order level documents. This is very easy for us to do. And so if I was to come back here again to Paul Johnson, their home page, let's say I wanted to, or you could make the home page the product catalog itself. So this is an example of somebody giving us an Excel during a sales campaign of 23,833 items. So we indexed it, took us a couple of hours, and the catalog is automatically created. And not only that, you can easily update it and make it more robust. If you go into Grainger, type on butterfly valve, you're going to see just a wealth of attributes, dimensional values, things like that. It's very, very easy. So I'm in here, and the concept of drilling down, if I wanted to say drill down, and just like the Best Buy example you picked. You want to drill down by brand. Now in this case, I've now drilled it down to 8, and you can see I've selected that facet or a product attribute there. If I wanted to, say, drill it down to this attribute, whatever it is. So now I've drilled down by 2. If you want to view it as a thumbnail or a list, or maybe you just want to default a view. So just like any good site, sorting by popularity, that's something I didn't talk about. That's another JDE integration. We do it through a SQL statement, so we can work against, and sorting is really, really important, because this SQL statement that you or we can manage, you tell us, is it by revenues, going into the Cardex, is it by quantities? We have that Snyder paper, they wanted to do a popularity sort tied to margin. So we can work against the J.D. Edwards logic for popularity. Once again, I can show it from here. If I wanted to add a couple of items into the shopping cart, add them into the shopping cart. And just like the advanced sites, like if you go into Amazon, you see a button in the upper left that says Shop by Department, so the 2 items were added into the shopping cart. There we go. Like Amazon, they've got a button Shop by Department, so if I wanted to, as an example, it doesn't have to be that dynamic search, so I could, you could show it, the departments and the attributes and the sub-attributes. So that's another way of selecting. I just selected that item. I could do a remove all. So it's, and this is all automatic. The search, this is really important. Search and catalogs, but especially search. So if I was to, type on KIA. So KIA, and you're seeing this on the Tier 1 website, and this comes from Solar Indexing. You don't have to do anything, but you can go in and override it. You can work with like synonyms. We have a music company, so Stix, S-T-I-X is a synonym for Stix, because that's how a drummer would probably put it in. But you can see here, do I want to go across all of the facets, or do I want to go down into a particular facet, this one right here, and pick on that. We can do auto suggestions. So from there I've drilled down to 9. The search is also intelligent with part numbers, so you can see that there. I have people telling me, oh, we've got hyphens and spaces, and it makes it so hard. You can, natively, the indexing works against it, so you have this type of logic built in. So I'm going way beyond what I wanted to. Let me very quickly go into the shopping cart and show, those couple of items. I'm not going to go into this way of adding items or this way of adding items. I'm going to come down here and, I can create a quote. And if you don't want that button to show it, say yes or no. I could proceed to the checkout. So there we go with the checkout process. And a lot of shopping carts, you go through a lot of pages. We created a checkout page where, and once again, the personalization. You can do it at a system, account, user level. Do you want ship to override? So just like a CSR does ship to override, we call it drop ship here. You can, designate that. I'll call this a webinar, Doug, November. Put in a request date here. I'll say the 2nd. Docs 9 through 18. Here's an example of our web service that goes out against FedEx. One of our customers recently said, hey, we want to work off of a list. We make a little bit of margin, so don't do it against our contract, which we usually do it against the retail for UPS. And we said, sure. Here's an example of credit card. Everything we're doing with credit card, all the PCI, what's called cardholder data, it's at the payment gateway. So we utilize, as an example, it's called Jeremy, it's called really like iframe redirect when we're working against, as an example, the payment gateway.
Yeah, hosted forms.
Hosted forms, okay. So everything in terms of entering the card credentials, storing it, which is, the vaulting and the tokenization so that you can work with it from there. So we created the order. The 7311 is created in J.D. Edwards. Okay, at this point I'm going to go into JDE and show you the order that I just created. Okay, so it was order number 7311. Okay, there are the order details with the PO that I noted, webinar Doug November, request date. If I was to, notice I put in there in the comments, let me go to order header. So there's the PO, but in the comments, I put in docs 9 through 18. So that went in as delivery instructions. That also could represent, if you wanted it, header level comments, or we can even do line level comments very, very easily. If I go into my email system, there is the email that I created, the order confirmation email from the order. So from the perspective of using a new payment or using a saved card, I could do that. This is the token, authorize the payment. And then from there, it says authorization success. So we get the results back from the payment gateway, and we can see that it's approved there. But that's an example in dealing with the personalization. So once again, if I was to come back here to the home page of Paul Johnson, you can see we have all of these parts here. If I was to come into, say, and let me do another profile here. If I was to log on as a Ryan Anderson here, you can see the home page is different. And very quickly, and this is the last thing I'm going to show, is from admin, and then the last 30 minutes will be Marianne's time. This is our admin, and what I just showed there with the two home pages, if I go into the UI configurator there, and I see things like home page contents. So this is the admin. So everything that we're doing with processing options akin to J.D. Edwards, we call them configuration parameters. You're doing it either at the system, at the group, at the account, or at the user level. So you can see, like an account, you can take an address book here, and we're saying on that home page for this account, we want to make these three fields visible. And we could see for user here. So Ryan Anderson, we're saying don't show back order, don't show unpaid order. And that's why if I go back to I just logged out. Another example of personalization gets into the feature configurator. So with the feature configurator, and this is actually a good segue for you, Marianne. Let's go down here to sales orders. So with sales orders, what you can see here is for this account, we want the order type to be SF and not the default, which is SO. And then for Ryan Anderson, when that person or that account, we're doing it at a user level, we want to put it on hold. We want to create a workflow process for this account for whatever reason, credit worthiness or something like that. And then we can actually have it automatically pick up against that logic of J.D. Edwards. But you can see that from our administration, at the system, account, system group account or user level, we can change things, and you can see some of the changes here with branch plants. In other words, here it is, branch plant availability. By default, we work against the branch plant tied to the customer master of, say, Paul Johnson 4242. But you can create availability lists, and maybe it's a combination of branch plants, 2 or 3, or all the branch plants, branch plant mode, detail branch plants. If I was to, I'm not going to show you the, what I will show you is an example. So here's an example. So when I said schedule branch plants, for a lot of companies, it has no meaning. For Treasury Wine, it's one specific way. For this customer, it could be when you're adding items into the shop or into the cart, show this is D30 and M30, show it there. Or inside the shopping cart, here's a pull-down list control. So the point that I wanted to make with the feature configurator and the way you can do these overrides is it's not custom programming for us. It's very, very easy to take the nuances, which is part of every company's requirements, and we can actually, inside of a targeted demo that's usually more than an hour, show you how to do all of this. So with that, Marianne, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to come in here and make you presenter.
That's perfect. Let me know if you can see my screen in presentation mode. Great. So thanks again for including me in this presentation. So I work for Treasury Wine Estates. We make, market, and sell wine. We're a global industry leader. We have over 3,500 employees operating in 4 regions, selling 30 million cases of wine per year. And that represents 70 brands. We both own vineyards, buy grapes, as well as buy wine in order to make these 30 million cases. Some of our brands you might recognize: Penfolds, 19 Crimes, Acacia, BV, Sterling, Stag's Leap. In the U.S., these brands are sold through over 200 distributor partners, and that's the reason why we were looking for a partnership with K-Rise to build this portal so that these distributor partners could then purchase our brands. So in the United States, based on prohibition, we don't have the ability to sell directly to consumers unless they come to our cellar doors or are part of our wine clubs. And in order to sell alcohol in the United States, you have to go through a distributor partner. Or if you're in a bailment state, you go directly to the state. One of the reasons why we looked at this and needed it, actually, is because back in October of 2015, Treasury Wine Estates acquired the Diageo wine business. And as part of that acquisition, which was finalized on January of 2016, an integration project kicked off, both to integrate the businesses and the systems behind it. And what was decided in that January timeframe was that we were going to continue running the wines business on the Diageo platforms until we were able to bring them into JDE. And as part of that integration project and bringing the Diageo wines business into JDE, we needed a portal. The Diageo wines business had a portal for their distributors in order to purchase not only their wines products, but other products that Diageo is providing to them. So we needed something that was the equivalent, and therefore looked for a partner to help us do this, and selected on K-Rise. So a little bit about our order portal. It allows our distributors to order from a product catalog based on their customer profile. So we don't necessarily sell all products in every state, nor do we sell all products with every distributor. I mentioned it was part of an integration work stream. We decided that existing EDI customers would stay on EDI, and only our distributor partners that were using a portal or new partners would go onto the portal. Doug covered a lot of these features, but direct connections into JDE, web-based 24/7 ordering capability. We align the outages with our own JDE outages. User accounts can be varied, so if you want to set up someone as a salesperson to only look at catalogs, or if you want to set somebody up as an order entry, or somebody in the finance department. All of those capabilities are available. Navigation and search, which Doug talked quite a bit about. Mass upload capabilities via Excel spreadsheets. So we have distributor partners of varying technology expertise and maturity. So some of them still use Excel spreadsheets. They want to be able to upload by item number and quantity without going through the sort and pick. The ability to reorder, personalization, and order history, all great features of this tool. So I'm going to show you a few slides of the actual screenshots of the tool, and then I'm going to go quickly into the tool to give you a flavor of how it looks when you place an order. So as Doug mentioned, this is all customizable. These are our screenshots and pictures that we've implemented. We've also decided to add additional information such as links to our appointment calendar through our 3PL, as well as educational material. It's another screenshot from the test system, and as Doug mentioned, having that product catalog, being able to search on it. In the wines business, we look at brands, sub-brands, types, grape varietals, vintages, pack sizes, pricing. These are all available to be sorted on and select and filter. Our pricing is built such that not only do we sell unique products through unique distributors and states, we also price differently depending on the distributor. So distributor A in New Jersey may sell a product for a certain price, and distributor B may have a different pricing schedule based on promotions and other things. Again, screens that look very similar to what Doug provided. This is where we have not used carriers such as UPS or FedEx. We have carriers such as Cornerstone, Old Dominion, and we've created that drop-down specific to the carriers that we use for our distributor partners. We also have the ability to have customers select different shipping addresses that they use with us, as well as if they're purchasing product from other regions like Australia, they can select the container size and the freight forwarder. We require, such as Doug mentioned, a PO number. Request a date. We did some customization to say, if it's a domestic order, it has to be 5 days out. You can't order product if it's within that 5-day period. Similarly, for overseas products, we require 30 days advance notice. A little bit about the cart overview. So whenever we're placing orders and we have something in a cart, this is just a nice little feature that has what the last item ordered is. We've added weight, lines on the order, where it's shipping from. So these are all things unique to our business that was very easily implemented with this solution. Once people have placed an order, you can go and find the order via inquiry, and this will show detailed of the line items on the order, what the product is, the order numbers associated, the expected ship date, what's the status of that order, quantity shipped, and the price. And it tells you exactly who it's going to and where it's being billed to. The other great feature within the tool is the ability to reorder. So if we have a customer that is ordering the same product every month, I need 10 cases of this red wine, 10 cases of this white wine delivered to this address 20th of every month, that can be set up fairly easily in terms of that reorder button. Just a couple things about our logistics and our organization. So we had a deliberate rollout plan managed by customer service, and that included training, documentation, and support. We went with the plan of having administrators at our customer distributor partners set up accounts within their own organization. So we'll set up an administrator at distributor X, and then they are responsible to set up the employees that they wish to access the system to place orders. Once you are a portal user and have that access, you can manage your own profile, change your email address, password, security questions, so all very kind of self-managed. I mentioned we have links on our portal for our educational material. That would include bottle shots that a lot of our distributor partners need for their sales material, and the 3PL partner to see appointments. We also made sure that we had very specific links to our terms and conditions, privacy policy, online help, contact us. These are all links that are unique to Treasury but very easily implemented with this solution. So let me just run into the solution. I'll switch over and let me just log out here. Paul Johnson lives again. So this is our QA site. I'm not taking you into the production site because it has live data, of course, and I don't want to interrupt any sales orders. Just want to mention that we went live in August using JDE 9.1. We quickly, in September, upgraded to 9.2, and it was a non-event. Didn't have to do anything with the portal, upgraded with 9.2 seamlessly, hardly any downtime, so that was a pretty easy win. The other thing I wanted to mention is I talk a lot about the United States and how it's deployed here. We're having that slow rollout plan with all of our non-EDI distributor partners on the portal by the end of this month. We will be rolling it out to Australia and our distributor partners and customers there in the spring. So this is truly a global system that we intend to roll out across the world to help us in selling our product. So very similar to what you've seen before, we have a particular customization that we wanted to make sure that people coming onto the portal knew where they were selecting their products from, and so they would be familiar with these branch plans in their in the way that they deal with us and order products. So we have a branch plan in Napa, Sonoma, Australia, and for our imports in New Jersey. So we force them to select that ship from information, just a reminder. And so now that's selected, I can go directly into the catalog. And so highlighted very briefly that, you know, I mentioned the upload capability in terms of mass list. You can also do a quick entry, so if you know the product number, you can do filtering here. So we can go here, we can go by brand, we can go by particular sub-brand, and start putting orders together, pack sizes, vintages. So these are all things meaningful to our product catalog. So I'm just going to
Marianne, if you could add, because I elaborated a lot on the definition of a faceted search engine. I know for you, you recognized you needed that dynamic catalog creation, indexing functionality, and you might want to mention that was actually a prerequisite of yours for the vendors that you considered, right? Absolutely,
absolutely. It's critical for our vendors to be able to go in and be able to select by brand, by sub-varietal pack size, so that they can easily find the products that they're looking for. So I just added something into a cart. I'm going to quickly go into the cart, given the time that we've got. If I wanted to, I can go even here at this point and select the product and say, let's add that to the cart. Now I have the 2 items to the cart. We wanted to show weight. That's critical for our customers in terms of carriers and what they want to put on pallets as well as trucks.
Here that Marianne is referencing, that's a business function call that we're making?
Correct.
Okay.
So if I wanted to change carrier, I could do that. If there was more than one shipping address for this particular customer, it would be listed here in the drop-down. We don't have one. I'm just going to quickly go through and put a PO on here. And as I mentioned, we had specifically asked for the ability to push out and say you could only select a requested ship date 5 days out if it was a domestic order, and you can see that. You cannot select basically tomorrow, Saturday. It has to be 5 business days out. We put our terms and conditions here, so we want to make sure that people are aware that they're specific terms and conditions with placing an order with us, and we ask that they agree each time they place an order. And the order goes directly into JDE. Just a few things, you know, KRISE in general has been a very responsive partner. We rely heavily on their expertise, which has been above board and very clear and very beneficial. Here, the sales order has been created successfully. Then I can go into JDE and actually find this order, and you can see how it would track. I'm just going to go into here to find orders for a different reason. And then in terms of the solution, very reliable, easy to use, easy to set up. We do have advanced pricing, as I mentioned, in terms of very specifically allowing certain distributors, certain products with different prices from perhaps their competitors down the street. These are orders that have been placed in the past, so you can do an inquiry and find orders to see what those order details were, where they are in the chain, whether they're open, committed, shipped, and we can see that order history. And then in terms of the profile information, some details on, you know, credit limits, payment terms. We've added this in. My profile. Here's my first and last name, email addresses associated with it, my security questions that I can pick, and changing my password. So all very user-friendly from an administration standpoint, as well as ongoing maintenance. So I know we've got a few minutes left, but I mean, that's really what I wanted to cover. We've added, as I mentioned, the terms, conditions, privacy, contact us, some online help, but really very straightforward, easy to get up and running. It was a fast implementation, and we've been happy with the solution so far.
See, Marianne, this is great, the slides, what you're showing. A user that wants to change branch plans, say they added items already in the shopping cart, but then they realize, right, so you're showing that. And so once again, dynamically now creating the new Sonoma catalog. And just so people know, we're clearing out the cache memory because, Jeremy, we're using cache for predominantly what? The
session. It clears the session. It clears out the information, at least when you switch a catalog, because in terms of TWE, you can't order items from different branch plans. They have to be all from one in one order.
Right. And you showed some of the customizations, the intelligent catalog based on rules for the scheduling of the ship date, agreeing to the T&Cs, the terms and conditions. You've also done things with PO number logic, right, Marianne?
Correct. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here is we bring in the G10 or SEC code that we're storing in JDE. The other ability that this solution has is if the customer has their own item number associated with, this is our Treasury item number, that can be uploaded as well, stored in JDE, and that would pull through if we've set that up for the customer. So we also have the ability now to have the customer place orders with their own item number, and that follows through just like it does if they've ordered with our own Treasury item number.
An item number cross-reference is really important, and Marianne or Jeremy, maybe you want to comment that this is coming from the JDE 4104 item master cross-reference logic, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So here's an overview. Here's what we've got stored for this item number, and then we've also added, because weight and kind of pack size in terms of trucking is so important to us, some of the other details about this product.
Well, this is excellent.
With these last few minutes here, everyone get their questions in so that we can hopefully answer all of them. We have a few here already. So do we offer customers the ability to download PDF-like invoices from the portal? And if so, how does it match the JDE invoices?
We can actually pull in the JDE invoices. We've done that. Our demo portal does have the ability to download the documents PDF format as well. If JDE generates the PDF and allows us to grab it, we can do that. There's a whole bunch of solutions for that.
In fact, most, I didn't show it, but when you're showing invoices, most companies do have document management, whether it's Optio or Crateform or something else. So they have PDF forms, and they will usually say, yes, cross-reference the invoice number with the PDF. And then like Jeremy says, we also have PDF auto-create functionality. So we can just say from these tables automatically create a PDF.
All right, another one here. Would there be the ability to hover over an item and see a picture of the item or some sort of overview spec page to see the picture?
Sure. On our demo site, we have on the catalog, there's a little magnifying glass. You can click on it. It gives you a preview of, we call it item preview or quick view. Hover could be possible too. We have no problems doing that.
That's all standard.
All right.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that we didn't implement it for our own technology challenges. It was not a K-Rise challenge.
A question to TWE. Was this an IT project only, or were there business folks involved as well?
It was both IT-led, and then the customer service team was very intimately involved because ultimately they have the relationship with our distributor partners.
Okay. Is there any user training necessary?
Now for user training, Marianne, I think you did provide support videos or something, didn't you?
Yeah, so quite frankly, it's pretty user-friendly, so not a lot of training required. For us, it was more of a change management issue. We have a lot of distributor partners that have never used a portal to place an order. They had been using email and fax. So it was more of introducing them to the portal. We put together a few slides, a few demonstrations. We had informal information sessions such as this. Call in, we'll walk you through it. But really it would take an hour at the most to get someone acclimated to placing orders on the portal. The majority of the training was specifically for the administrator to make sure that they were assigning the accounts in the proper fashion.
Okay. Looks like we have time for one more here. Are you able to order in multiple UOMs for the same product?
Sure. If that follows your business rules, we can implement that. We have no problems with that.
So unit of measure, Marianne, from your perspective, is that, are you dealing with
Case.
multiple?
TWE is always
Case of line.
Okay.
Oh, we just got one last one that got snuck in here. Entering configured products in JDE can be a challenge. Would that be easy with this portal?
Yeah, now the JD Edwards doesn't have configured items, which are stock type C, and we fully support. In Australia, Mercury Marine uses JD Edwards Z1. In the States, Brunswick Mercury Marine uses SAP, but in Australia, they use Enterprise One, and their outboard engines are configured items. They're a remarkable customer, and they're one of our longest customers for over 9 years with our EASYCommerce. And Michael Wallace reports 95% dealer orders are created through EASYCommerce with some of them stock and a lot of them configured. And just to let everybody know, we're not a configurator. What we're doing is we're putting a guided selling front end on top of the JDE configurator, and whether it's the dynamic configurator, which executes at the segment value level real time, or the non-dynamic configurator, but we're simply working against the segments, values, cross-segment editing, assembly inclusion, X rules, etc. And we can show that as a follow-up.
All right. Well, since we are pretty much out of time here, I want to thank all of you for hanging in with us for a full hour. And, of course, thanks to Doug and Jeremy. And then, obviously, for Marianne for taking the time to talk about her product as well. Hope you guys all have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.